Welcome back to Your Music Mentor. This will be the last podcast of this season, but don't worry, we're coming back in just a few weeks. My name is Kevin Yor, and today I'm excited to introduce a new program that is designed to help serious musicians. So whether you compose, perform, or improvise, I want you to take your skills to the next level. I'm calling it Composing Hour Audio Lessons. In this program, you'll commit one solid hour each week to focus growth. That includes 40 minutes of targeted audio-based instruction, combined with 20 minutes of the signature Flawless Ear Training audio version of the course. Instead of relying on flashy visuals, this course gets straight to what matters, developing an internal understanding of music. So we're also going to go through a few exercises today, which I think you're going to find really interesting, and it can give you just a sampling of what to expect in this audio-based course. I've seen so many talented musicians struggle to bridge the gap between theory and real internal listening. As a professor, as a private instructor, I've seen this time and time again. And I remember one student who, after a breakthrough in internal listening, something we call audiation, they immediately transformed their approach to music. Now, this change, it solidified for me the need to design a program like this. So today, I'll walk you through what you can expect on this journey. It's one that is built for the committed musicians who are ready to work on their craft in a very practical and effective way. So let's review the framework of the program and talk a little bit about what you can expect before we get into these exercises. Each session is designed with layered instruction that builds step by step. So the idea here is that maybe we start with a single melodic line, and then we could gradually introduce harmony and more complex auditory tasks. So the way this works is we engage in these brief, focused sessions, which are going to last no more than 40 minutes. So you may be thinking it's a composing hour, why is it only 40 minutes? It's 40 minutes because when you combine the composing hour with the audio version of the Flawless Ear Training course, you have 1 hour. So this is actually two separate courses. Now the reason I designed it that way was because the ear training aspect, some people are going to be more advanced than others. So there wasn't really a good way to combine ear training with the composing hour audiation techniques. So the conclusion and the solution I came up with was I will offer the ear training course separate so people can go at their own pace with that particular course. And then you also do the composing hour 40-minute lessons. When you combine it together, you get this entire program. And that way, your ear training, you can go at your own pace and you don't have to wait to develop certain ear training skills to go on to the next lesson in the audiation course. So we're going to engage in these brief and focused lessons, and it's going to concentrate on 2 to 3 core skills at a time. So we're going to cover things like audiation, counterpoint, which was the ability to write multiple independent melodic lines that sound like their own unique, interesting melodies that when combined together create harmony. It's a different way of thinking about writing chord progressions. It's actually an older way, and it's a really effective way. This doesn't mean you don't learn theory through the course. We will teach some theory, but we're going to focus on the voice leading aspects of theory that actually result in these chords that are used in compositions. So if you're sitting there trying to come up with new chords, counterpoint is a solution. That's how you write a chord that's new. We're also going to make sure you do a little bit of ear training, but it'll be different from the Flawless course. It'll help to supplement it, but from an audiation standpoint. So I want to ensure that you have a clear understanding without getting overwhelmed. So these sessions, I'm going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to really think about them, and I'm going to make sure that they're effective. So the exercises and compositions you work on here are going to be practical tools that are designed for skill development. This is different from creating final polished pieces. That's not the goal of these technique sessions. These audio lessons are designed to give you the information, the knowledge, and the skill you need to compose, so then you can go with your own original ideas and compose whatever music you want. So you put in an hour a day and you have this formidable technique at the end. So let's talk a little bit about the vision and structure for the course. What is the Composing Hour audio lessons all about, right? The program is structured as a 3-year journey. Each year is going to focus on a different aspect of your musical growth, and I'm going to go through the breakdown, and you'll take 1 year at a time. So you'll sign up for 1 year, you'll complete all the exercises, and then you'll be ready for year 2. And at the end of each course, you'll get a certificate that shows that you actually completed it. So year 1, I'm calling Awakening Your Inner Music. This is where we focus on developing your ability to audiate. Or another way of thinking about that is hearing music in your mind, even when nothing is playing. So we set the stage in the first year. We do a lot of audiation, but we do audiation in a way that also teaches you theory. So even if you know music theory, have you ever actually audiated every music theory paradigm that you've come across? A paradigm is kind of a simplified, maybe just a simple chord progression that's taken out of context of the music. So what we do is we teach you to hear these. So you're not just learning to write them, you're learning to hear them. Year 2 takes it a little bit further. I'm calling it the Enchanted Dance of Voices because I don't want it to just be counterpoint. Counterpoint is not really capturing what is happening in year 2. So once we have that strong inner ear built from year 1, we explore how different musical lines interact in real time. This will improve your overall sense of musical conversation. So if you're an improviser, you're a composer, you're a musician, you want to know how compositions work, you want to create your own, you want to be able to improvise. This dance of the voices, where we're going back and forth between multiple independent lines, that's going to be the thing that helps you improve your sense for composing complex music that resonates with a listener. The last year, year 3, I'm calling Weaving the Tapestry of Sound. This is going to be the final year, and you're going to learn to shape expanded musical ideas and structure them into coherent creative compositions. So the roadmap isn't rigid. I plan to adjust the curriculum based on feedback from dedicated musicians who attend the course so that the content remains both challenging and relevant. So while it's designed as a 12-month course, it's possible that as questions come in, additional lessons will be added to it to make sure that we're going step by step and not leaving anyone behind. So this is why I'm calling them music lessons, because even though they are sort of a group session where you can download the audio, listen at your convenience on your own device, whatever device you want to use, and you don't have to complete any exercises. There's no sheet music to download. There's no PDFs. Every single aspect of this course is going to be audiation-based, which means you're just going to sit, you're going to listen, you're going to follow the examples, and then you're going to build your skill this way. I'm going to give you 2 examples of what this could look like, but I've thought about this a lot. And with form and analysis, I have a video-based version of form and analysis that teaches you a very academic form of form and analysis while still explaining how it relates to composers. Same for my Counterpoint course. Same for my Audiation course. They're work heavy. They have a lot of files you have to download, a lot of exercises and lessons you have to go through. These are going to deal with a different way of thinking about this, a different way of learning. So with the audio course, the Composing Hour audio lessons, what's going to happen is you're going to develop an intuitive understanding that allows you to hear things more clearly. So everything's going to be based off language and sound. There will be nothing to download, and it's going to be really fun. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm doing it now because I finally know how to do this effectively. And there's nothing else like this, because how can you teach Counterpoint with just audio lessons? How can you teach form analysis with just audio lessons? The way you do it is you teach it from the standpoint of, this is a structure, listen to it. This is a different structure, listen to it. Here's how they differ. Can you hear the difference? Listen to the difference. Okay, now go ahead and audiate these examples. Try and incorporate them into your psyche in a way. Make them a part of your being. And then we go further with this, and I keep showing you audio examples And you don't even really have to read music for this. So this course, I've always said that audiation is something that can be developed without any understanding of theory, because it can. Ear training, on the other hand, requires a bit of theory. You have to know what a perfect fifth is and a perfect fourth. Audiation is simply the ability to hear things internally. And so I can teach you what a period structure is by showing you multiple examples, comparing them, and letting you hear the difference. So you get an intuitive understanding of the period. You get an intuitive understanding of the sentence. You get an intuitive understanding of how a sonata form works. Things like this. And then if you want, you can supplement this with the video courses, which are much more intensive, more like taking a course in college. So that's the idea behind it, and I'm really excited to get working on this course because I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're going to have some really great revelations through it. And it's going to be one of those things that really doesn't exist. I mean, imagine taking all the courses you take in college, all the courses that the subjects that we believe are important for composers, musicians, and performers, and not learn it from a standpoint of analyze this chord, analyze this cadence. Is the leading tone resolving? How's the diminished fifth resolving? It's less theory-based and completely aural-based, which is how we hear music anyway. So it'll be a really fun and exciting course. Here's a little bit of a personal story. I had a student that after a few sessions of some of these listening exercises that I'm going to put into this course, the student started noticing details in their playing that they had only read about or heard about before. We started to talk about how Beethoven used to go on walks. And during those walks, we believed that he composed music. He thought through his ideas. It was his time to just kind of improvise and think. And I told this student that it was possible to develop an ability to compose an entire piece in your mind. And if you're a performer, this is important because the stronger your audiation skills become, the more you hear the music around you and the more capable you are of responding in a musical way to what else is happening everywhere else around you. If you hear another member in your ensemble playing a counter melody to your melody, you're going to be better at balancing it. But it goes beyond that, because what about the percussion? How does the percussion relate? Is it just a rhythm that's pushing the music forward? Or are there motives in there that are helping the music get pushed forward? So these are some of the things that courses like this can develop. They develop our sensitivity to music. They develop our sensitivity to sound. And it's really when I have students come to me and say, I'm hearing things in music I never heard before. These are the moments that make all this worth it, because you can hear and you can see that these musicians are really developing their skills. And this is my method of teaching. There's other methods out there, but I'm fairly certain this is the only one, at least right now, that focuses on audiation as a way of getting these concepts into your existence, kind of into your mind. I believe that the way intuition works for music is based really on how much music have you listened to and how much music have you understood. How much theory have you completed? How much ear training have you completed? Have you practiced your scales? All these different components that come together into one cohesive skill. And when you study these concepts, then they become a part of your being and they come out naturally in performance and expression. I was talking to one of my old composition instructors, Virko Bali, and I was telling him about this. You know, it's really interesting how you can study something very theoretical and very disconnected from the music you write, but somehow through studying, it makes you a more effective musician. It somehow comes out. It becomes a part of your existence. And he said, no, that's absolutely true. And I said, he's been involved in music for a very long time. And so I said, well, what do you think that is? Do you have an idea? And he said, I have no idea, but it works. And for us, for musicians, that's what matters. So these skills are really important, and they're a lot of fun to learn. And so I'm really looking forward to helping as many people as I can through this process. So let's talk about the concept of audiation, and we're going to do our first exercise. So I'm going to discuss one of the core pillars of the program, audiation. So again, audiation is learning to hear music internally. It means that you can imagine a melody, a rhythm, or a chord progression clearly before you play it. To give you a taste of this training, I'd like you to try a simple audiation exercise with me. I'm going to guide you through this. So if you're in a quiet space, please follow along. But even if you're not in a quiet space, that's actually okay too. We always think that we need to have pristine recording environments and pristine places to practice and hear our music and compose music. And the truth is, if you develop the ability to really focus, all those distractions can be eliminated. Have you ever had a situation where you're in a crowded room and you're having a really engaged conversation with someone, and all the background noise just kind of fades and all you hear is this one person's conversation? Or you get so wrapped up in a task you're doing that you're barely aware of anyone else around you? This is the kind of focus that we need to develop really powerful audiation skills. And this is what this program is going to try and accomplish. There's going to be some distractions in there. If a dog starts barking in the background, I let that happen because I don't stop recording, because it's actually useful for developing your ability to focus and listen deeper. And you'll actually listen more deeply when there's distractions in the background, because you have to tune them out. It can be really difficult. It can be frustrating. And the thing that we've learned about frustration from scientists like Andrew Huberman, he explains this really well. The reticular activating system is a mechanism that essentially, well, the way he describes it is that when you introduce a little bit of frustration into your study, you retain it longer. You retain it better. So don't be worried about frustration. If you're not in a quiet space, that's okay, because we're going to try and make your space quiet. So let's try this exercise. So close your eyes if you can and take a slow, deep breath just to kind of center yourself. We're not doing a meditation. We are just closing our eyes and eliminating that visual aspect of our lives. We're eliminating that one sense. So go ahead and close your eyes and just settle into that for a few moments. Get comfortable. Just have your eyes closed. Start listening to the ambient sounds. What do you hear around you? The hum of the computer. Do you hear a distant conversation? Are there natural noises around you? Is there deafening silence? Pay attention to each aspect of your environment. Go from the air conditioner, just as an example, to the hum of your computer, to even the ticking of a clock, if you have a clock that ticks. Or go internally, try and feel your heartbeat. Take a moment and find 3 different sounds, and then just move from one sound to the next. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Now, keeping your eyes closed, imagine a single sustained tone in your mind. It doesn't matter what the tone is. It could be low, it could be high, whatever feels natural. Move it around. Try different pitches until you find one that's comfortable for you. Take about 5 seconds to find that pitch. Okay, now whatever tone it was, focus on this tone and this tone only for about 30 seconds. You're noticing its quality. Is it smooth? Does it have a slight vibrato? Does it change subtly over time? Is it dark? Is it loud? Is it soft? What is the characteristic that is most identifiable about this tone? Just focus on this tone for 30 seconds now and try and listen for any characteristics you can. It's all internal. Okay, now gradually imagine that tone shifting. Keeping your eyes closed, let it rise in pitch and fall in pitch. Let it do whatever it wants. Don't force it. Simply observe how your inner ear perceives this change. Try and make it go really high and really low. Does it make you uncomfortable at a certain point? Does it evoke a certain emotion? Just observe it without judgment. The only thing you're controlling is a little bit of the rise and fall of the pitch, and then it might start doing it on its own, and let it. Just let it rise and fall in your mind. We're going to do this for about 30 seconds. Let that tone start to move. Okay, so this exercise, it was designed to hone your ability to catch subtle layers in sound. You can go ahead and open your eyes now. This is a key skill that we build on throughout the program. And I have a graded sequence, step by step, that takes you from a simple exercise like that to hearing complete pieces in your mind. And to understand the theory of music from an intuitive, music-based experience. So how did that feel for you? What did you notice? Did it change your mood? Did you have any reaction to it? Were you able to get deep inside the tones? Think for a moment on just how that actually affected you. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment so that I can see. I'm really interested to know. Just call this the concept of audiation, or call it exercise 1 so I know which one you're referring to, and tell me about your experiences. This is not some ploy to get you to type on my page. I really want to know what you experienced. All right, so we're going to do another exercise in a moment, but let's talk more about this 3-year journey. So we're going to take a closer look at what this journey will look like. So in year 1, calling it Awakening Your Inner Music, this is really audiation. The focus is entirely on strengthening your internal listening skills. You're going to practice various exercises to help train your mind to begin to recognize melody, rhythm, and dynamics as a few examples without needing a visual cue. It's all audio. You just sit there, you listen, you go through the exercises. By the end of this year, you'll be able to hear music internally with greater clarity. This is an ability that will set the foundation for all your future musical work. Have you ever taken one of those language courses like Pimsleur, where they will have you listen to something, and then you'll repeat it, and then they'll give you something new, and then you repeat it, and then they'll go back to the old thing. They use sort of a delayed response where more and more time is put between each iteration of a particular word or phrase you're learning in that new language. It's a language program. This was very influential on me as a student because I thought the idea was really brilliant. And it really did help me learn quite a bit of German when I was taking a German class. And so I'm using principles like that in this course where, yeah, in a lot of language courses up to that point, you would learn the alphabet. You'd learn to read and write. But this was different. This was for, the first time in a publicly available way. There was a course that said you can just sit and listen, and we'll teach you what the language sounds like, even if you don't know how to write it. And I think later maybe they help you learn to write it. I never went that far with it, but the technique itself was great, which was it was all audio-based. And that's what this course is for. When I was a student, one of my first real turning points was when I created my senior recital. It was a composition recital. And all the music in that recital, to this day, I haven't analyzed any of the chord progressions because I didn't have to. I could simply hear the music in my mind. I'd get it down on paper, and then I'd edit for things like voice leading and flow and pacing. And I'd look for motives that could be developed. I'd try and integrate subtle references to things that happened previously and things that were going to happen later. And so I molded the composition much like Gustav Mahler was quoted as saying, playing with building blocks. Because I had these blocks of sound and I had a complete composition. I was able to go back and say, what is this composition trying to tell me? And I was able to develop it. And this was a real turning point for me because I was starting to create chord progressions in my head and then putting them on paper, but I had never seen these chord progressions before. There was no theory for a lot of them. Sometimes it was simpler, like in my piece, The Garden Tower. It's a piece for violin and piano. It's mostly just major chords being used in an unconventional way, but that's the way I heard it. And that was one of my early pieces. And to this day, I still don't really think about chord progressions, but I know they're in there because I studied the theory and I have done the audiation work to make it a part of my existence. So it naturally comes out of my music and I don't have to think about it. So this is what I train other composers to do. And I've seen breakthroughs with quite a few of my students now where they are able to just audiate an entire piece. But the problem now I'm dealing with is I have to get them to understand that just because you can audiate something doesn't mean the work's done. Doesn't mean that what you put on the page is perfect. That's a starting point. That's a good piece. If you want to have a great piece, you need to edit. You need to refine. You need to develop. You need to work on the piece. You need to find out what it's trying to say to you, and you develop it. So audiation is a strong tool for that, because if you can hear what you want rather than having to sit at the piano and play it, or whatever instrument you use, or worse, a notation program, then you're not subjected to your skill level. You're only limited by your imagination. And so that's what this course is going to teach you. Year one is really focused on developing essentially your ability to imagine sound. And we're going to be teaching a lot of concepts. You'll be learning some music theory and some counterpoint before we officially get into that in year two. So speaking of year two, we're calling this the Enchanted Dance of Voices because it is kind of enchanted. It's not really a title I would normally use, but for this I wanted to convey that mystical part of counterpoint that's often missing. We often think counterpoint is rigid. It's a Renaissance style or it's a Baroque style. And It's something that is based on music that is no longer written. But the truth is that Counterpoint is a powerful tool for developing your ability to hear anything in your mind. It's really powerful. So in year 2, now that you have this finely tuned internal ear, we're going to make it better, and you'll start to focus on how different musical lines interact. You can imagine it as listening to a conversation where each voice contributes to a broader dialogue. So this phase is going to include exercises that are going to help you notice timing, balance of independent lines, and how overlapping melodies can create depth in a composition. It's about understanding and controlling the interplay of sounds in a natural and intuitive way. So what we're going to do in year 2 is essentially study Counterpoint, but I don't want to scare you away because really what we're studying is musical interplay. I'm not going to sit down and say, okay, first species, here are the rules. I do that in my Counterpoint course, and that serves that purpose. If you want the academic aspect of it, which I think you should eventually pursue at some point. But what this does is it sets the stage for when you approach an academic course, you have the ear to really understand what's going on in the music. And that is essential. So moving on to year 3, calling this weaving the tapestry of sound. This is really musical form. So by 3, you'll be ready to take all this knowledge you've developed, all this skill you developed, and use it to craft complete musical ideas. The final phase is about building structure. It's about shaping your internal musical narratives into thoughtful and organized compositions. You're going to learn the basics of form and how to structure a piece and how those structures develop into larger structures so that it not only sounds cohesive, but also tells your unique musical story. And if you're a performer or improviser, this will help you stay on track. This will help you understand what's happening in the music around you without having to sit there, look at the music, analyze phrases, and say, that's a period structure. That's a sentence. That's a hybrid thing, you know? So remember, this course is really built for those who are serious about their craft, and each year is going to build on the last and prepare you for real measurable progress in your music. And if you're saying 3 years is too long, then this probably isn't the right program for you, because this is for students who have the ability to kind of look ahead and realize that 3 years is a very short amount of time to study these techniques and the benefits you'll get. It's not like at year 3, all of a sudden you reap the benefit. You start reaping the benefits right away, and you continually go deeper and deeper into music, and you continue to refine your skills. So for 3 years, you're going to continually develop, be challenged, be frustrated, have fun, learn new techniques, see how far your ear can take you. Because to be completely truthful, part of this will be based on your natural talent for audiating. But I believe everybody can learn to audiate. I don't believe that it's true that only certain people have the ability to learn to compose or to play music. I think that anybody can learn. It's just some people might have more advantages than others. But this is for committed musicians. It's a 3-year mastery journey. It's equivalent to the theoretical side, but it goes deeper than that in what you learn in university, because in university you'll learn this stuff and it will become part of your being somehow, but you'll lose it. The way I'm teaching this course, my plan for this course is to make it so that it really integrates into your music playing in an effortless way. Not effortless in the training. The training's not effortless. But when you actually go to play, you'll notice you're playing smoother. You'll notice your playing's more intuitive. You'll notice your composing is getting better. If you're an improviser, you will realize that your improvisations are getting better. So it affects everything. Let's do another exercise. So we'll call this exercise 2, crafting your personal melody. So in the first exercise, we kind of started this process. Now we're going to take more control over it. So I want to guide you through this second practical exercise. This one is about creating a personal melody using your inner ear. So again, get comfortable if you're not already. If possible, close your eyes again. I want you to visualize a blank canvas. Now, this could be anything, but it just basically needs to be a quiet, open space in your mind. So imagine, I'll give you some imagery. Imagine a white background. And imagine it's a square. And it's the size of a big screen TV. It's large. You're sitting down. You're in a room by yourself. All the windows are shut. All you see is this glowing white screen, and you are sitting on the couch looking directly at this screen. Within that space, on that screen, imagine a single note that starts to emanate from the center of it. Just hear a single note, doesn't matter what it is. Hear it from the location of the center of the screen. It starts softly, it's not loud. It's a simple tone that feels right to you. Go ahead and concentrate on that tone for a while. Be aware of that white screen and vaguely aware of your surroundings. You're in a dark room, but that screen is lighting it up and you're sitting on the couch listening to a simple tone. Do that for about 15 seconds. Okay, now keep that tone going. Let this tone expand. Imagine it going into a single point, narrowly defined, and then imagine that it's growing. The sound is now a bigger part of that blank canvas. It's a circle and it's getting wider and wider and wider. Imagine it taking up the entire canvas. Now picture a color associated with it if you haven't already done this. What color is that note? Purple? Gray? Brown? Red? Orange? Give it a color and define that note with texture, like a gradient. So is it a solid color, just one solid color, or does it fade to a lighter version of that color as you get to the outside edges? Picture the coloring in as much detail as possible. Now I want you to make it smaller and push it to the upper left corner of this screen that you're looking at. This is the first note in a phrase. It's still sounding. You're still hearing it, but you've moved the location. You've actually heard it go from the center of the room, the center of that canvas, coming straight at you. Now it's over to the left side of your vision. Now, gradually allow that sound to move into a new note. Maybe you hear it. Gradually let it morph into the next sound. Go back to the first sound. Morph into the second sound again. Does it feel right? Go back again. Go between that note and the next note, just going back and forth, back and forth. When it feels right and you feel like these are the two notes that you should have, go on to a third note. Whatever you're thinking of. Allow it to smear into the next note, and then once you're confident, instead of going bum, go make the notes more defined and allow each note to have a color that makes sense for what that note is right now. There's no right or wrong in this exercise. Okay, do you have that? You have your first three notes? Okay, there's no right or wrong. Now just let it flow naturally in your mind and observe what you create. Observe how it is painting like a mountain range. Maybe it's going up. Maybe it's drawing a line. And imagine how each note is a different color. And let it stretch across the entire canvas and bring it to a close at the end of the canvas. So you're going to follow this process and slowly construct an entire melody note by note, and always going back to the first note. If it changes, don't worry about that. If it changes, that's fine. But make sure that each note has a distinct color, a distinct feeling, and works in the overall melody. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop talking for about 45 seconds. And I want you to just let this melody unfold in your mind. And watch the colors on the canvas. Make it very vivid. All right, finish up your melody, and when you're done, go ahead and open your eyes and just take a moment to reflect on what you've created. Give you about another 10 seconds to finish up. How'd that feel? Did you feel connected to that melody? Did you like your melody? Was it a new experience for you to be able to listen to a melody this way? This exercise is really meant to develop your confidence in crafting musical ideas in your mind, something that you can do. I also showed you the start of what could be a method of remembering your melodies when you open your eyes. Because one of the difficulties with audiation is you can audiate, but then how do you remember it? So that was a very abstract version of an exercise that we're going to unfold over many, 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 many months. And when you're done, you're going to have a process, if you put in the work, to audiate and then notate your ideas in this very creative, very alive space inside your own mind, in your imagination. This is a critical step in developing your creative voice as a serious musician. I don't care if you're a performer, composer, improviser, whatever you do in music, this will help you to kind of unlock this and develop. Now, we're going to talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to close this off, and we'll finish here. This course is going to be a challenge for you and for me, because I have a vision for how this course should unfold. I have a map for it. You can go and see an overview on my website using the link in the description. And you can also join the waitlist if you'd like to be considered for this program to join it. But the way I'm going to create this course is I know step by step what we need to do to develop your ability to audiate, to learn counterpoint, to learn theory, to learn these various subjects that are often taught in a very non-musical way, frankly. And I'm going to be spending an entire day constructing each 40-minute exercise. And then on the second day, I'm going to be recording it. So I'm putting a lot of time into this. It's a very large investment on my part, and it requires a certain commitment from you as well. And so if this is something that you would like to do, just know that this is really for serious musicians. Doesn't mean you have to be an accomplished musician, because this course really doesn't require any skill. You can start from the beginning, because we're all developing this audiation skill together, and we're all learning counterpoint in this unique way that nobody has really learned before together, and music theory and harmony. We're learning this together. And what will happen if you're a founding member of the course is you will have a private forum where you can post questions, or you can say, I really like that lesson, or I didn't like this lesson. This is what I need. Could we do something like this? Could we have another step that shows us how to get from maybe one aspect of a lesson to the next? And then what I can do is create additional follow-up lessons that can be addended to the original ones to make sure that you are learning at an appropriate pace. So that's why I'm calling these music lessons, because you are getting a chance to offer me your feedback, and then I'm responding to your feedback with additional resources to make sure that everybody is able to develop these skills together. And that's why it's a 1-year course, but depending on how things go, if I have to end up adding a lot of extra sessions, it'll be 15 months. And so the way it works is you'll just pay for the 12 months. If it goes over that, those are free months. And we'll continue to learn together and develop this skill. And if you don't want to participate, you just want to go along with the audio, that's fine too. But you have the option of posting anonymously if you want. You can just hide your username or use a fake username so that you can contribute without actually having to identify who you are. But if you want to, you can do that as well. So I hope that some of you can join me, and I hope that this is a course that we can get going pretty soon. It's going to really depend on interest. So if there's a lot of people that are interested in it, then I can go ahead and devote those 2 days a week to this, and I can cut some other things out. I obviously will continue developing the video-based courses. Those are almost complete. And I will also continue developing the Flawless Ear Training course. That's going to get finished. But you got to think of it this way. This is a 3-year course that really teaches you information that you would expect to get in a conservatory or a university, but often due to the nature of those courses, it's just not practical to teach in this way. Also, you have to meet certain accreditation standards, and sometimes that means you have to study certain things that maybe aren't all that relevant. So to sum up, the Composing Hour audio lessons, this is a 3-year audio-only program built specifically for dedicated musicians who want a transformative and hands-on approach to music training. In this program, you're going to learn to sharpen your inner listening skills, understand the interplay of musical voices, and eventually craft these structured, compelling compositions. If you're a composer or if you're a performer, you'll learn how to hear what's going on in a composition, which will make you a better performer. This really isn't about flashy production. I just want to make that clear. It's about practical, focused work that gets to the heart of what makes you a musician. And this is why I made this a podcast, because there's no face. This is going to be very similar in quality, except the difference is there will be lots of sounds you'll be listening to. There will be lots of examples, but this will be the audio quality that you can expect in the actual course. So I wanted to do this as a podcast with no face because it gives you an idea for what you can expect. So as you progress, this program is going to evolve through feedback that you give me, which ensures it remains as dynamic and relevant as your growing skill set. And if there is no feedback, that's fine. I will just continue to produce these lessons in a guided way, and you can know that at the end of 12 months, there's a definite closure, and you can move on to year 2. So this is really a music school that I'm creating. It's a 3-year program, and you'll get a certificate at the end of each level. So if this sounds like the challenge you've been looking for, keep following my Your Music mentor. Follow my YouTube page, Your Music, and you'll get more insights and detailed updates on composing our audio lessons. I think as I go through this, I may continue to post excerpts from the series on YouTube so you can kind of see how this is going, and I'll continue to give updates throughout the podcast when we come back for next season. So I'm excited to share more as we get closer to the launch. And just so you know, the launch could be as soon as a week from now. It really just depends on how many people want to sign up, how many people want to participate in this. And I'm really looking forward to answering any of your questions. There is a link in the description, or you can go to my website, UreMusic.com. Again, that's URE, my last name, music.com. And right on the front page, you can join the waitlist. And when you join the waitlist, that tells me that you are interested. And if I get enough people there, then we're going to start now. But if it ends up being something where there isn't enough interest, then I can't devote as much time to this. I have to devote time to other projects. And so it will probably be released sometime next year if that's the case. But I wanted to let you know about it. I wanted to see if anyone was interested. And I hope you'll join me on this little adventure we're going to take, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have a ton of fun creating it. And we're going to get a nice collaborative experience. And it's going to be so easy. You're just going to press play, focus, complete the exercises a little bit like we did today, and be done. And there's not going to be a lot of explanation. Today I was trying to explain the program, let you know kind of what you're getting. But these 40-minute sessions are going to be pretty concise. They're going to deal with very specific skills and topics that gradually increase in difficulty to build your ability. And there will not be so much of me just talking and explaining things. If that does happen, then what will happen is there will be at least 2 videos. One where I explain the concepts for the week, and another one where it's actually practice-based. You want to get a feel for this? Try taking one of the audio units of the Flawless course. Unit 2 is where I really start to refine things and just get into the exercises. It's going to be real intense, 40 minutes of music lessons where you are just active and involved in music the whole time. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you join me. And please let me know if you have any questions at all. And I will see you when the podcast returns in just a couple weeks. Well, more than a couple weeks. We'll probably be coming back in late summer.